Hey, thank you for joining me. I hope you're having a good day, having a good night. So, drop me a comment, say hey, let me know what's going on. So, we're about to pick up again with It's a Part of Life. And so far, Marie has gone to Massachusetts to visit Marvin and to see how he lives. And he's living pretty well. So she was saying, do you think that I could get used to this? And then she says, yes, I could get used to this. So anyway, Marvin had also invited a friend and his wife over for dinner. So I went to freshen myself up and change my clothes for dinner. The couple showed up and we had a few drinks before we went to the table to start eating. After the delicious meal, we sat around talking for about an hour before his friend suggested we go out for a while. I was game. Going out sounded good to me. We grabbed our jackets and walked out to get in the car. His friend had a big, beautiful black Mercedes sitting out there waiting for us. I'm not going to lie, I was a little impressed by all that was going on. But as we got in the car, I wondered how this guy made a living. I was also trying to keep an eye on what went on around Marvin's house too. You know, like signs of men coming in and out of his house, suspicious looking things going on. So far, I hadn't seen anything though. But then again, we were in a different part of the house. The place we ended up was a fancy underground type looking place. You know, it was a big house that had some of everything going on inside. Music, drinking, smoking, and not just cigarettes either. Pool tables, a gambling room, and some other rooms that we didn't check out. But the people here knew Marvin and his friend. The people treated us pretty good. I got the impression both Marvin and Scott ran a tab here. So much stuff was just put on Scott's tab, and the other things were on the house for him and his guests. The owner of the place made her way over to us and Marvin, introduced me, and told her where I was visiting from. There's going to be a fashion show here in 2 weeks, she says. The owner was telling us. Then she turned. Then she wanted to know if I would be interested in modeling in the show. I told her I was from out of town, remember, and that I was just here visiting. The owner had turned her attention to someone else for a minute. So Marvin looked at me and said, You said that like you can't come back. You can make it if you want to do the show. Just go ahead and tell her if you want to." When she turned back towards us, I told her that sounds like it might be fun, but I have to check on something first. And can I get back to her on that? Say by tomorrow around noon. She was like, yes, that'll be fine. Marvin has my number. Give me a call in the morning. You'd make a good model. We'd be glad to have you participate. By the end of the night, I had checked out the place enough to decide if I wanted to do it or not. So the next morning I called to give her my decision. I told her I'd be able to make it. She gave me all the details, then asked if I would be able to make it up next Saturday for the fitting. I told her I had to go back to New Jersey, but that I'd be here for the fitting. She said, if things change and you can't come for the fitting, let me know right away so I can send the outfits to you overnight shipment. You can have them fitted there for the show. I told her I'd keep her posted. Then for a minute, I wondered why this woman I had just met wanted me in the fashion show enough to send outfits to New Jersey. Sunday evening, Marvin took me back to my place. He said he'd come and get me next Friday. I told him to let me get back to him on that because I'd probably stay home and have those outfits tailored here since I'd be away from Monica too much. You know, piece by piece, one step at a time, things in my life were getting better. I would be finishing school soon. I had gotten my social life together, my family life was great, and Monica's was doing great. Thank God for all this. Actually, I had already started doing hair on the side. That little money came in handy. Let me tell you, I can do some hair. I could give the best perm on earth and put curlers in a head of hair that didn't even have a perm and take the frizz and the kink out the hair. Well, one evening, Alan and Papa were in the den watching television. Mama was washing dishes. I was at the table with Paula and Taz while Junie was going through the fridge when Paula said, "Mom, guess what me and Junie are doing?" So Mama says, "What?" "We're trying to have a baby," Paula said. Junie turned red and started blushing and laughing. "Don't say that. Why'd you tell?" he said, blushing. He looked like a little boy blushing in front of his mother. Mama dried her hands and hugged Junie. "That's fantastic," she said. Alan came in the kitchen. "Did I hear that right?" he asked. Junie was blushing still and smiling. Meanwhile, Paula had this huge, proud smile on her face. Junie and Alan looked alike. Alan's poor little baby sometimes called them both Daddy because he couldn't tell them apart. A minute or two later, Alan and Junie went into the den with Papa to confirm what he'd overheard. About an hour and a half later, Aunt Kate came over to the house. She entered through the kitchen door with Monica. She had taken Monica with her to buy her a new coat. She bought quite a few of my baby's clothes, and as usual, they had stopped at McDonald's on the way home. Papa didn't call Aunt Kate wimpy for nothing. You know that little guy from Popeye that ate all the hamburgers all the time? Well, Aunt Kate with her burger and fries, and she was happy she could be. So now Junie says, "Well, Paul and I were trying to start a family." Sorry, but I had to get a sip of this iced tea. It's really lemon tea. The ice is melted. Paul and I were trying to start a family. I enjoyed making love to my wife. I knew she'd get pregnant sometime soon. We had gone to the doctor. He had told us there's only a few days out of the month a child could be conceived, so to cut down on sex when she wasn't within those 3 days of conceiving. That way my sperm count would be up. Not that I have a low sperm count, but every little thing helps. Man, she would make it a romantic happening. Candles lit all over the place, wine, good food, even a seductive shower for two sometimes. The first 2 tries, we didn't get pregnant. To be honest, we were both kind of disappointed at this. The next month rolled around, and we were going to have to give it another try. We went out to the lobster shanty. This is where she and I went once in a while for a special occasion. We had a great meal, wine, and even dessert. It had started getting a little dark out, so we rode down to the beach where I parked, and although the weather was chill, we took a blanket out the trunk, then went down to sit on the bench facing the ocean. She was soft and she looked soft. I couldn't keep my hands from touching her. I caressed her rosy cheeks, patted her ample butt, which was soft yet solid at the same time. Then down to her big thighs I rubbed. Her legs felt chilly, so I covered them up with the blanket. The beach was barren and empty this night. No one was on the boardwalk. Even after eating so much and my magic touch, the old girl leaned her head over on my shoulder with contentment. Finally, I nudged Paula so we could head back to the car. When she lifted her head off my shoulder, she looked at me with those big greenish brown eyes. Then she stroked my neck before kissing me. She started with my lips, then onto my cheek, then my forehead, my nose, then back to my lips. You know, I was ready to leave this beach so we could go home for some real romancing. We entered our apartment and headed for our big soft bed, where we undressed each other. "Come on, Big Daddy," she said. You wondering why she called me Big Daddy? I think you know why. After a good session of passionate lovemaking, we slept through most of the night. I woke up to go to the bathroom and get something to drink. While I was in the kitchen, Paula came in to get a piece of cake and some milk. Then we took our snacks back to bed and watched the boob tube until we started another session of lovemaking. Needless to say, after the night we'd had, the next morning we both called our jobs to say we wouldn't be in today. I had started going to college, so although I had taken a work day off, I still went to school that night. While I was gone, Paula was going to go and spend some time with Trina for a while. I'm having a hard time with the pages. Okay. So now some months have passed, and Alan says it was a gorgeous day. So little Alan and I were visiting my Uncle Jay and Dave. My boy Jojo had gone to Texas and stayed after serving his time in the Air Force. From there, he went to Seattle for a while. I missed that nut, but we keep in touch though. Anyway, Uncle Jay, my mother's brother, had 10 kids, so the house was always busy. We went over to hang out with him first. Uncle Jay wore a suit 7 days a week. No, not the same 7 suits over and over again. He must have had over 40 suits and hats to match, along with the shoes, of course. His hair was processed and curled. Yeah, my man's hair was fried, dyed, and laid to the side. And sometimes he had a red phone in his car, a stomped-down house phone in his car. So, he was gold down, not over gold, but enough to really be flashy, like the big medallion on his necklace. This day, he was on the porch watching television with a house fan on the porch to make a breeze. We were having a drink or two when his son and daughter, Johnny and Bibi, came out and sat with us for a few drinks. We just talked and watched people as they went by, and we enjoyed the breeze from the fan. After a couple hours, I figured little man and I would head on over to Dave's. I was putting my little man in the car when Mom and Kate, Monica, and Taz pulled up behind my car. They were coming to check out Sammy Davis Jr., aka Uncle Jay. Man, you know Sammy Davis Jr. He had a glass eye, an eye that did its own thing. Well, so did my Uncle Jay. So really, with this and all the jewels, his suits, hats, and hair, the Cadillac, and the car phone, he earned this name. You see what I mean? Sammy Davis Jr. My Uncle Jay's cool as hell and good-hearted as they came. That was everybody's opinion of Uncle Jay. Uncle Jay, Bibi, and Johnny walked down to join us on the sidewalk. We all talked for 2 or 3 minutes. Then the little man and me were off to Dave's. Dave and Laura had gotten married before Trina and I. They'd had a son after they got married, but they were having problems now. The problem was Dave wasn't acting like a married man. As for me, I was trying my damnedest to act like a married man, but I swear, sometimes it was so hard to do. Once in a while, I wondered if we had gotten married too young. I loved Trina, and I still do, and we have this beautiful baby together. He's the best thing I've ever done. Then, on the other hand, we hadn't sown our wild oats because we had gotten married so young. He and I had gone straight from high school to war to marriage and a family. We went from being schoolboys to being soldiers and then directly to being husbands with mouths to feed. I'm glad for my family. Just sometimes wish God had given this to me after I had a chance to enjoy being a man boy. A man boy, yeah. That's a mix of still some boy inside and being a young man. It's time to explore myself and the world around me. I held little man's hand as we walked to Dave's door. Lori answered the door. She said Dave wasn't home. Hadn't seen or heard from him since early this morning. So she and I sat on the porch for a short while talking and watching the people in the neighborhood. She offered us some iced tea, and I was glad to get some. I guess that liquor had made me thirsty. While she went to fix the glasses, I changed little Alan's diaper. Gloria, my cousin from a few doors down, was walking by and came over to join us. Lori came out with our iced tea, then had to go right back to get a glass with Gloria. This time she was smart. She brought the whole pitcher with her when she came back. The three of us sat and drank tea and talked and gossiped while our little boys played on the porch. Since Dave wasn't home and he had blown my plans of having a few drinks with him, dropping my son off at home, then having a couple of guys over and going over to, to hang out. So on my way home, I made a stop at a phone booth to give Debbie a call. Her roommate answered the telephone. She called Debbie to the phone for me. We made plans to see each other later that week. I figured that way it would give me time enough to back out of it, or either get the nerves together to go through with it. That Monday when Trina and I had gotten in from work, she told me we were invited to a cookout. A girl she worked with had invited us. Well, that Saturday we went to the cookout. I admit it was nice. Tons of food, liquor, music, and fun. We even played dodgeball. Can you picture some grown-ass people running, ducking, dodging, and throwing a bouncing ball around after having a few too many drinks and having bellies full of food? It was hilarious. Man, and the next day we were sore and stiff as hell. Trina and I took turns massaging each other, trying to get rid of some of the soreness. Us massaging each other turned into two sore, stiff people making love. But for some reason, while we were making love, I didn't feel the soreness and the stiffness. I played basketball pretty often, but somehow the action at the cookout was different to my body, because after Trina and I finished, we were back to being stiff and sore. Man, each day was passing. It was getting closer to the day me and Debbie were supposed to go out. I was getting nervous, but I went through with it, and we got together for drinks. I picked her up at her place, and we rode out to a nice quiet spot in Brielle on the river, where nobody knew me. Again, we enjoyed each other's company. We went for a ride, then I decided I'd drop her off at home. As we pulled up to her door in the apartment complex, she asked me in. I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so I said, all right. When we got inside, she realized her roommate wasn't home. So we sat on the side of the sofa while watching television. I started rubbing her knee and her lower thigh, and a quick quick snack with her turned into me leaving about 3 hours later, telling her I'd give her a call. So, we have to be careful of temptation. Because it will rear its ugly head every chance it gets. But I thank you for joining me. I hope you guys are enjoying the story. I hope you join me again. And if you feel like it, please subscribe. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I wish you a good evening. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a blessed week. And stay blessed.